Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. Let's start. So let's start with the dollar index. Dollar index did exactly as we expected to do last week. And hopefully this week, we're going to have similar ones. So what we're doing is we're trying to get towards the daily low. I think now we can clearly assume we're making a correction there. That's not difficult to do. We're making correction. And the only question is that correction over? If that correction is over, we can expect this thing to probably get to the bottom there by the end of this week, right? If it is not over, then what is going to happen is that you're going to find we will stay in that consolidation for a while. Let me go back to the 4 hour. We're going to stay in this consolidation for a while. And we could come back here. There's a sell set up in it right now. We could go back up, do a few of that, and then break through. Hopefully it breaks through this morning because we have a sell set up here. We're looking for a sell. Can this thing crawl its way up a little more? Absolutely. Are we going to buy it? No. The answer is no. We're not going to be buying that. We will allow it to go to the top, and then we'll look for the sell setup, but not all the way to the top. Because if it gets all the way to the top, that would be a flat pattern. I don't think it's making a flat. You can see they're going up. We let this finish what it's doing, then we look for the sell setup. Right, we're looking for this sell setup here today. If we get it, we take the trade. If we don't get it, then no big deal. You're not going to be in the trade. And at this moment, I just remember this will be live on YouTube. So good morning to all the YouTube viewers who are watching this. If we have consistently a good amount of people watching it, and I think it's the same set of people, if you like it, please help share it so more people can see this and they will learn the wave analysis and how it works. It will help someone who is struggling right now with some other method that is not working for him. So we're waiting for this trade, and let's see if we get it. We got that one. That was a contracting flat, but that was a nice trade up, and now you're getting this trade to the downside. When it comes here, we will move our stops and see if we break out of that or if they're going to go back up for a more complex pattern. It is likely both could happen. They could break out or they could go back up. When you get to that level, then we'll decide that. Silver, amazing. Last week, if you started, we were somewhere in here, and I said to you, 2 options. One is they're going to come down because this looks like a flat. The second one is this was a more complex flat here, and we're probably going to go back up. My preference was for the downside, and that turned out to be accurate. That's more of an experience thing when you see this pattern, right? So I think right now we've got a complete flat and we're going up. Now that also could be incorrect, which means we can stay in this flat for a much longer time. But I truly believe that this is a very big complete flat and we're going to go up. So we're looking for a buy setup. We should get a buy setup. I think we bought this on Friday. Those of you with us, we bought that on Friday. You made very good on that one. And now it's pulling back. Now, can this go back all the way to the bottom? It can, but it is unlikely that it's going to happen because it looks like this is a nice 3-wave structure to go more up, right? So let's see if we're going to get, if we get the buy setup, it will have to be from this level going up to the top here and then from here again. Is it going to break out or is it going to go back down? What if this is going to go down as a 1, 2, 3 and we're going down? Well, I've got to get a very, very big flag here, not a small one like this. This could just break the low and go right back up. I have to see a big one that is going to give me something like this and then up so I can get the break even. That is why I would want the big one. If it drops out, that would be the trade. But if I'm going to sell this, I have to make sure I have a guarantee for a break-even trade. Otherwise, I'm not selling it, right? Because the risk of selling this is dangerous right now as it stands. So if I get a flag that I think will drop enough to give me break-even, yes, we'll sell it. If we don't, we're waiting for the buy setup. It drops lower, no problem. We will wait for the bigger flag before we sell. Gold, on the other hand, we got the gold trade as well good, and we got the gold buy very nice. But the gold, on the other hand, it's not. Some people got it, some I got break even out of it because it was in the news event, and I put mine a little too early to break even. If you kept it, you did well. So I got the CAD still. But the idea is that this now is going to go up, right? Now, the only thing about gold is this is the top. It doesn't have a big structure. You only have that move down. So if this consolidates deeper, we would assume they'll come here and then we will come back here for a 3-wave structure, right? It could also break out totally, make a new top and then repeat the same process, right? Come back down, go back up, come back down. Gold could do that for a long period of time, which means it doesn't necessarily have to make a big flat here. It could just continue with a number of small corrections, small impulses, and then take off, keep going. So we're looking for a buy setup. I think we can put the buy lower. We'll do that in the trading room. You don't have to buy the breakout. You can buy a bit lower. Let's see. If this becomes a bigger correction, this is going to be a single impulse, a bigger correction, more like this, a single impulse. Remember, they had that flag. They dropped. We saw this. We said, okay, we're making a bigger flat, and then we're going down. Right? We got that sell perfectly. Right? So now let's see if we're going to get this one. Euro. Yeah. Euro. upside, right? So now they're making a flag here. Right now, this flag is looking like a little downside here. You can sell that is going to break here. We wanted to break that level and then reverse, and we're looking for the buy setup. So what are the chances of this breaking the low and coming here? I think pretty slim, because this is just a single impulse up, right? So what I'm looking for is something like this and one more up. So I think we're going to look for the buy setup here today if we get it. We're not interested in the sellers yet. Now, this could do the same thing that the dollar index is doing. It could either break out, take this off, that's the top. It could either break out or it could either come back down, make a more complex flat. We're trying to get to this top. And I think we will get there. Pong. Well, Pong has a totally different structure of its own, and there's a number of ways you can put this here. You can literally, I mean, this is a very, very complex thing forming there, and there's a series of patterns you can put, including putting it all the way to here, and then assuming that this could be a big running flat. There are a number of ways you can look at this pattern. Right? There are many, many ways we can look at that pattern, and all of them will be correct because all of them is a known pattern. So which one exactly it is very difficult. Now, what I would look at is we've actually broke out of this. We made a 1, 2, 3. We got that one correct. And then we're looking at this here. I think this might likely go back up. It's making a deep pullback. So if they make a deep pullback like that, take this off, that will not be valid. What I will expect is that it might make a bigger correction. When they make such deep pullback, you expect a bigger correction. So I expect this to be one piece, something like this, come back here, and then maybe upside. This morning I was looking at it and I was saying, well, if you want to sell it this morning, to traders who want to sell, if you want to sell it, you just have to be careful when they break the low. Because when it breaks the low, it can stop. So if you're trying to sell that, break the low, expect it to stop and go back up. I think this might be one piece of a bigger correction. Take this out. I think this might just be one piece of a bigger correction, which will probably do something like this, come back here and then go. If we see that pattern, it would be a good buy first. As it stands right now, I don't see the sell setup. And right now, selling it doesn't make sense. You don't have a good risk to reward. So if I'm going to sell it, it has to make a bigger correction. This has to make a big correction up like this. And then we will sell it for the next impulse and then see if they go up or if they break down. Very likely with that reversal pattern, we're expecting it to go up. So there might be a bigger flat here and then upside. Let's see how that plays out. Aussie. Aussie is perfect. It did exactly what we wanted to do in terms of the bigger pattern, except this didn't drop one more. We thought that could drop one more before it go up. On Friday, we were looking at this as a flag, drop one more and then go up. Well, they actually took off. We got the New Zealand because the New Zealand had a different structure. This should come back to the top here, right? We're looking at this big structure in the daily. We're in a big daily correction. This is the first impulse down and you're in the middle of that correction. You're in the very middle of the middle piece of the correction. And the funny thing is this might go on sideways here for a longer period of time, which means it's not going to go up or down anywhere very soon. If you look at a bigger structure, we'll see that. So we've got one move down, the sharp one. We've got a move up, which has become the A part of that correction. We're in the B part of the B wave. So somewhere here, we will expect a correction. I'll expect this to correct some more. And then we're looking for the upside. It could be much deeper than that as well. And then we're looking for the upside. The upside might also go as a bigger three-wave structure because we're trying to make this one up, this wave up, right? An equivalent of that. And you see this had a correction here, it had a correction here. How this one is going to go up? No. Is it going to even go up? What if it just stays like this? 1, 2, 3. What if we make another 1, 2, 3 here? This goes up a little here, then make a bigger correction and go back there. Then we're going to have 1, 2, 3 equivalent waves and then go up. So we can be stuck in this sideways for days. We'll still trade it. We know how to trade that. That's a good thing, right? Understanding what it's going to do gives you an edge in the market to understanding how you're going to trade it, right? What is your trade setup in this? So right now, this thing is consolidating. Like I said, if it makes a flag here, we might even consider a sell, right? Because we broke the top. So it makes a flag, we'll consider a sell. It's a short-term sell. We're not going to break that low. We'll probably just do this, go back up, come back here, do this, and then go. We might be in a sideways correction, which means it's tradable because you're measuring this impulse. We're trading within that impulse. So that is tradable, just like these were tradable, right? Remember these moves? Remember these moves? They were tradable moves. So we could trade these for short-term purposes. Let's see if we get it. If it's going to break to the upside, you want your entry order there, but this is not going to break so early. I think we'll have a lot of consolidation here before it breaks. But just in case, if it's going to take off, you can put an entry order there. That will never be tagged if it's not breaking out. Right? If they're still in consolidation, they might not go back to that top because that's the top after a consolidation. So normally they don't re-break that top a second or a third time. Right? They normally consolidate first, then go break out. New Zealand, good buy. We got that buy well, and we're consolidating. This is the low. This is not a sell setup. This is the low. You want that impulse to come back to this level. Come here, come back to that level, and then we can consider a buy. Now, can New Zealand actually take off? Pretty much so. Remember New Zealand, I was showing you since last week, the structure in New Zealand and the structure in Aussie, although they're both in the same consolidation B wave, structurally they're behaving differently, right? See this here, we don't have a series of flats like we have on the Aussie, but we're in the same B wave structure. We're making a bigger correction here. So New Zealand are making sharper waves, a series of very sharp waves to make the flat. So we have got this sharp one, that sharp one, this sharp one. This is the most corrective part. We got a sharp one, we should get another sharp one up, right? So we're expecting this to go up here. Maybe after a deeper consolidation here, upside. So today or tomorrow, we get that trade to the upside. Now, here's the difference with this. How you look at this. Either you look at this as a contracting flat here. That means this will totally take off to the top here, then drop. Or you're looking at it as a flat like this. And that means this is 1, 2, 3, 4, an expanding flat. We're going to do this one. We're going to come back here for this one. And then we're going to go to the top. But either of them has to go up first. Either this one continue to go that. So let's wait for a correction here. I don't think a small flag is a good trade there. You'll probably get an entire correction, 1 hour correction, which would be pretty big. And then we go for the trade, right? So let it correct here some more, maybe in the next 5, 6, 7, 10 hours, maybe tomorrow we'll get that trade to the upside. It will be a big trade. You can see a series of small flags that we traded, but didn't, this one we got nice. This one, I don't think we took that one. We took this one on Friday and the break of the expanding flat. That's a break even. Then you took that one and that's a good trade, right? We took it somewhere here during the news event, 20 pips above, right? So now we're waiting for this and then we're going to go back up. So wait for that trade. I think that's an amazing trade, and it's a very safe trade when you trade within this corrective structure, right? Because they tend to fulfill these patterns before they go. Swiss went up, made a flat, pretty much like the euro, and we have a sell setup. Can this go up higher? Well, we're not buying it, right? And we know where the Swiss is trying to go to. So if we get a breakout of this, we're coming to tag this low, right? Remember that because we had the daily pattern. For those who are in the YouTube viewers and don't understand why we're expecting to break that low, you should come back and listen. Go back to my webinars when we were going down around here, this area. And I said, we have this. It means we're going to go back to make that to finish this pattern. Well, it happened. And we have to come here to break the low to complete the pattern. And after that, we could either go up or we could continue to go down. But the minimum requirement would be breaking this low to complete the pattern. Now, I'm hoping that we break that low and turn to the upside, and that would be a different story. But let's go back to where we are in the 1 hour. We're making a flat, and this is amazing because that's a sell setup. We have a sell setup here. If this goes higher, all it's doing is changing the corrective structure. How we look at the corrective structure is not changing anything. I don't think they're going to go much more up because no matter what, they go up here. It was going to come back here either for a flat or either they drop now and drop through the bottom. So if this works its way up here, all you're going to have is a big flat in the middle here, one more up. We're going to buy this, and then we're going to come back here and go back there and then drop. We have this and we have this. This is a bit sharp. It could be all the correction, but I don't think it is. I think it's a bit sharp. Can we look at this as the correct? Sorry. Can we look at this as the correction for a 1, 2, 3, and we're going down now? You can make an argument for that. I think there's a good argument to be made for that. And that means the sell setup is a good one. If we get the sell today, we'll take the trade. If it goes up higher, we're not buying it. We don't have anything to buy in this. If there's going to be a buy setup, you need a spike. You need it to spike up like this. You need it to make a flag here. And now we'll assume that we're coming to this top. We're going to make a flat when we come back here. We're going to make a bigger flat, one up, one down, make a bigger flat, go back up like this, come back down, go back up, and then drop. See? So we don't have a buy setup until this happens. We have a sell setup. If it breaks right now, you better be in the trade. Got it? Amazing. I don't think I even have to explain this, even if you're not a wave trader, right? Go back to the top before we sell it. So it went back to the top. If you're in our daily webinar, you would know that while this was coming, I was insisting on my traders, we're not selling this thing, even if it breaks a low. We wanted to go back there and then we get the sell, and we are still in the cat sell. I don't know how many of my traders closed it from Friday. I'm still in it. We sold that and that is still going. So what is the next trade? I'm expecting this here to break out of that flat and come to this low. And I'm expecting this to break out because we've got a perfect long drawn out flat pattern here, which means it's there for a long time. That's a big sideways running flat that should break out to the low. How low? Not very low. This is the cat. We broke the weekly low. I don't think we're going to go very much lower. But hey, if it falls and I'm wrong, great for all of us. Right? We're looking for the sell setup. So if it falls much more than I think it is going to go, I would be happy that I'm wrong because I'm in the sell and I'll have a second trade going on it, right? Well, let's see. I don't think it's going to go because we know the way the cat is behaving since this move was coming down. So they break the low and they go back up again, right? And we can show that for a whole day, but that's a different. We're not going to go through the long process of doing that. So we're looking for a sell setup here. Yen, I think this one is easy. So look for a sell setup. I'm not going to go to details of the yen because it is not very clear as well, except that we're in a corrective structure here and we're going down. Now that is an incomplete corrective structure depending on how you look at it. It looks like it's complete also, depending on if you look at the pattern slightly different. We can leave it at that for now because it's coming down. And what it's the simpler way for if you're not a wave trader, you're not an expert in patterns, and you might not be able to recognize what patterns you're looking at. If this break sells it, right? And it could come all the way to break this low, like this move down. If it just drops to about this level and start to go back up, take the break-even trade. It will make a new high. We will buy it to a new high, then we will sell. Right? So those two possibilities exist depending on how you look at the completion or incompletion of this pattern here. Well, let's see which one works. It doesn't matter which one works. Eventually, that big move down will come. So even if this is a break-even trade and we get one buy to the upside, or we don't even get the buy to the upside, the move to the downside we will get. And that is why we're taking this trade now, assuming this one is the one that is going to the downside. As long as you break the top, we will always make that assumption, especially if you're getting consolidation like this. Now questions asked, we'll sell the trade. We'll sell it and then we'll see what happens. EuroCAD, stay out of this, I'll save time. Swiss, stay out of this, I'll save. By the way, this is an interesting one for YouTube viewers. You might like it. If you understand wave analysis, and even if you don't understand wave analysis, when it breaks this low here, there's a small trade to the downside that we're ignoring. If it breaks the low there, you'll probably get about 20 pips. You might not even get the 20 pips, depending on how it goes fast or slow. We're expecting this to go up here. That is the most likely direction it should go, right? Once in a while, they drop through the bottom and they come here. So you may say, well, then you're just guessing your way. It's going to either go up or it's going to drop, right? And that is incorrect. So let me explain to you why that is incorrect. This is a move up, that's a correction. This is a move up. That makes 3 waves. After 3 waves, you will have a reversal, you'll have a flag, and you're going to lose if you're going down. Or you're going to have a correction and you're going to go up. Now, this did neither of those. It didn't make a small correction and go up. It made a very big correction. And the correction in such a way is that it could be impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction. So that could be some kind or some form of a leading diagonal for a down move, which means when it drops here, you want to see a big correction. This drop could drop off the bottom. But if it's going to drop off the bottom, then what you would want it to do is you want it to drop like this. We can actually go for that sell just for that purpose. You'd want it to break through the structure and make correction under that structure, under that line, right? Once we made a correction there, we're assuming we're breaking this low. So we'll go for the sell. This would be the corrective structure, that's all. We can go for that, right? If that is not the case, you do have deep corrections like this, which is WX, Y, XZ, and we go right back up, right? So we will go for that sell with the intention that it's going to drop through the bottom. If not, we'll take break even. I think there's enough pips there to give us break even on that trade. So we can take this sell here, put a sell entry here to come and break this low and break out of the entire structure. So put an entry for a sell somewhere here. Right, take this one, the low, that's just showing you the low we have to break. So I'll take it out, not again. When we go through this and we probably drop a little lower, we'll put that to break even and see if they drop through the entire structure. You want them to break out of the structure, make sure that they're totally out of this. Right, if we see that happen, then good, we'll stay with the trade. because they'll have to consolidate under. But even if they break through and reverses back in, just take the trade off. Because a reverse back in will either start the flat. So if you get this trade and they do this and they start to do that, you close the trade, because this is the first impulse in either a flat here for a new sell, or this is the first impulse in a reversal. And we want the reversal. So at this point, we'll either get a flag or we'll get a flat. Either is a trade for us. So I think we should take this one today, just because these patterns tend to break up, right? WX, Y, X, Z. And if it's going like that, it's going to be W, X, Y, X, Z, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get a flat. So after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get a flat, you can literally break through the low. So we'll go with the trade and then we'll see what happens to it. Worst case, we're going to get break even. Don't worry about that. Euro New Zealand. We came to the top. We didn't break this top. We don't have to break that top if this is the end of that entire big correction. Let's say that's the end of this as a big correction. And we are expecting this to come down here, right? Make a few more corrections and then start the weekly one to the upside. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Now, we don't have to break this. We just need to break that, and we broke this one. So in a corrective structure, that could drop. There's also a chance that they will go back up, break that top, make a consolidation here, go break the top, and then come back, because this one had a big consolidation here, right? This had 1, 2, 3. So we might make a big consolidation here, go back, break the top, and then come down. I think that the second version of making a consolidation, go break the top, and then come back is the most likely one. So in this case here, if you get a flag and you're trying to sell that small flag, you have to be very careful. Better if we get a bigger one and we get it for that sell. So in case it doesn't go very far and go back up, we can get break even. If it's a very small flag, you'd have to be absolutely careful, because it might not go very far. We're looking for a sell setup, but I hope we don't get the sell setup now. I hope this thing turns out to be more of a big consolidation like this, and then we get that trade. As a matter of fact, even if it works its way back to the top, then do this and then go, that would be better for us. So we'll just keep track of it, see what it's giving us, what patterns it's making, and then we'll see. Right now, as you can see, this is incomplete. There's a buy setup here. This is a short-term buy setup to break this top. And as you can see, we have 1, 2, we broke that low. So if it's making a running flat, you have to come here, you have to come back here, you have to go back there, and then we get a trade setup. Don't try to sell anything there. This is actually showing me the break of the low. It's not a sell setup. There's a good buy setup in it. I think we will take the risk in the buy setup for a longer drawn out running flat, right? There'll be a running flat most likely. What if this is the low of the structure? Just let's assume, okay, this was the low of the structure. This is a flat in the middle of this. So it's not going to take off, right? It will probably come here, pull back. It will pull back for a running flat and then go back there, maybe break the low then. Right? So we'll see. Even if this is the low of the structure, we're making some kind of a running flat in the future. Euros, this could be a better sell. It's making a very nice structure, and we can come down from this point. So two ways we're going to look at this. Because of all the correctiveness in here, we can assume we're in this channel for the B part of the B part, which means you get this as a sharper one down. You get something like this here, you come back here, and then you go there. And that will be the bigger one. One more up, and then we come down. Or it's completed, if you look at it this way. Sorry. If you look at it, let me just turn it around on the line. If we look at it this way as a contracting flat, then it's completed. I just don't like the way this went compared to this one. But it's completed and we're going down. And we're going to break out of the low, which means the sell is a good idea. The sell is a good idea either for a move down like this. So if we get a sell set up there, we could look for a trade. And I think we might get a bigger correction for the sell setup. We look for this trade down and then either up or total downside. So wait for a sell setup there. I think that's a pretty small one right now I'm looking at. It's a very, very small flag. A small flag like that break, it will only break the low and go back up. All right, so if this small flag breaks, it's going to tip the low and then go. You'll see divergence here. And then it's going to go back up for the bigger correction before the fall. It's not going to drop on that one here. That means you're assuming this impulse is going to come all the way here, which is unlikely. But if we take the trade, we would have to go for a break even, which means it drops to this level and start to go back up. You either take break even or you grab the profit. It's very unlikely this is going to be the fall. Right? So if anybody is trying to trade this, you have to know that. But all they can do is do this and then start to do this. This would be the impulse. This would be the correction. This correction is still within that impulse. It might not go over. But hey, if you think it's going to go very far, sell it and try to get break even if it doesn't go. You can get break even. I think you can absolutely get break even. Why? Because if it breaks here and start to make a bigger correction, if you break here and you start to make a bigger correction, you're going to come back to these lows. See? So you can get break even out of the trade. Euro yen, it might drop a little more. We think, well, so far, I think we're looking at this as a possible running flat before they go back and break that top, right? So let's see. Keep an eye on it, at least one more impulse up before they go. Can this be the start of the downside? Then we'll be dealing with a contracting flat here that doesn't really go very well. Not that anything is wrong with a contracting flat like that. I just don't like them, right? I don't think we'll do this and we will do this and then we'll drop. Well, if that is the case, drop down here and make a flag for us to sell. Don't sell this small one. So let this small one drop. Or if you're taking the small one, you're only taking it to complete this running flat. Right? Just complete that running flat and then go back up. So there isn't much of a sell setup there. I would let them, drop and make a bigger correction before I decide I'm going to sell anything. But there can be a buy setup. Well, if it comes lower, you take off the buy. We agreed that if this morning there was a small flag there and said you can take it if it's a small flag. If it comes lower, if they were breaking out this morning, would have been the trade. But if they come lower, that's it. You're out of that trade. It's making a flag for downside. It's making a flat for downside in that case. Because this is going to go back here. We're going to probably get one more up there. You got a flat and then you come down and then you go up. See? Can we take this out? Maybe. It will give you a couple pips. Not the best trade. Why take it? Take something better that has a bigger trade, bigger move to go. Euro pound. Stay out of it. We have to break the low before we decide we want to buy to the upside. We haven't broken this low. It can go up, but that's a little dangerous. So I think we probably wait for a very big flag before we go. Not even a flag, wait for a correction before we decide we're going to buy it. If this low is broken, we'll be looking for a buy setup. Can they do this, and drop one more? Yeah, possible. We'll look for that. When they break the low, we start to look for the upside. Pangos. We broke the top, we're coming down. I think we did this in details in the trading room this morning. And at this point, you can wait for a correction here, probably wait for something like this. Go back up, do something like this, and then we'll look for a sell setup. Hope that breaks the low, they don't turn to the upside again. It can happen, right? We can repeat these moves for a number of times before we break out of a structure like this. 4 hour, this is where we are. We're in the top of it. Now we can make a new high without breaking that top. We don't have to break that top, but if they break it, we look at a big running flat in the making. We're expecting this to eventually come down here, right? Retest this low. Maybe go back up there like this one and then drop. That's the expectation. But this thing can work its way up here a number of times more before we break. So if we take the trade at the bottom there, we'd have to make sure it's a very good flat enough to give us break even when it falls, right? We'd have to make sure that this is going to go back up there, drop enough for break even in case it decides to go back up, and then we can take the trade, put it at break even, take us out, make a flag here, and we start to buy like this one. Make a flag there and we buy, make a flag like this and we buy, right? If that happens. So you find it very often if you get a very small one like this and they drop, see what happened? They break the low and go right back up. So you don't want to take this trade. You want to make sure that that is a flat, not a flag. And right now it's not. So right now what we would want this to do is go right back up there, make this. And now we can take this one to this level, up, back, get break even out of it. That would be the better option. If you take this and it drops to this level, all they need to do is tip that low and turn. Right? I'm not saying it's not going to drop off. If it drop off the structure, if we drop off the structure and you're not in the trade, well, it's pretty easy, right? If they drop off the structure, you're not in the trade, this will correct itself and then we sell. This is not going to go forever. This will correct itself once we break these structures and we're ready to go back up, right? We're ready for the sell setup. So be careful with this sell, although there is a sell setup there. Just like this one, there was a buy setup there, but you're at the top. It just breaks the top and turn, right? Pound New Zealand. We're looking for a sell. This one could go deeper too. We also think this one could come back to this level and then upside, right? This one doesn't have to go anywhere because we broke that up already. We're coming down. We have a flat. We have a flat. We can start with this, and this is a expanding running flat. I think we broke this low. That's a running flat. This is an expanding flat. You got a new high, and you're probably coming down, right? If we look at this like this, we're actually trying to make this one down here now. And we did break that low, but you could always look at this as a possible running flat, right? This is an expanding flat. You got a top, and we're trying to come here. If we get a flag like this, that would be perfect. This is a pretty small one. So if you sell this, you have to be aware that it could become bigger. Let's see in the 15 minutes what it's like. Yeah, you probably want to not sell it as yet and wait for this upside. There is a small one there, but this might just break the low and pull back. So one second, guys. Yeah, you might want to wait for this to go back up here. Sorry about that. That's my son calling from Moscow. For those who don't know, the YouTube people who want to know what's that noise there, guess. Look for this and let it go back up. I think that's a running flat. I think we just wait for it to go back up, because if we try to sell it here, it might not go very far. I don't think that's all the consolidation. That would be very small. 1, 2, 3, it's too small. Let it go. If you're already in the trade, good. You'll have to, if not, wait for it to pull back and then we go with the trade. Pang Yen. Okay, we're in this one. We're kind of making 1, we're kind of making 2, we're kind of making 3. They can go a little more. We were talking about that last week. There was a sell setup last week, and it's still going down a little more, but I don't think we're going down totally, right? We're in a flat pattern, so we just need to break this low, which is what they're going to do here, right? They didn't come down straight. We thought this would come straight, break the low, and now they're coming to break the low. And once they break that low, there's a possibility we're going back up. So take this out. You don't want to sell that into that low. That's dangerous. Let it break the low and make a big flat if you want to sell it, not just a flag. Once we break that low, we're looking for upside. Pancad. One more downside, and then upside. You notice there's a kind of a theme. They all have at least one more downside. Some of them a bigger downside, some of them a smaller downside, but after that, they're all going up, right? So we think Pancad could go up, and we don't only think that, we're absolutely sure about that. This will go back to the top. I took off everything. I'll add them back later on. So 2 ways we can look at this. It breaks just this low and go back up. So this is the flat. Let me see if I can explain that in the 1 hour better for traders. Yep. We break just about this low here, and then we go back up. This is an expanding flat. Or we actually come and retest this low. We would look at this as a 1, 2, 3, not the best impulse up, but you can do that because we broke the top. 1, 2, 3, come back, test this low, and then go. So we can get a move that size or a smaller move. Let's see which one comes first. Now, if you want to sell it, that's a good sell because either of those moves have good pips in it, right? So we can look for a sell like this and hope that it comes break this low, but this thing will go back up. If there's none other that we have confidence, not the Pang Yen, not the Pang Oz, not the Pang New Zealand, if I don't think any one of those 3 that we already finished that has upside in them, right, might happen, this one is going to happen. This one is absolutely going to happen. This is a 99.9% guarantee that this is coming back to this top. Well, because this one happened and this one happened, and so far it has been perfectly working the way we expect it to work because the pattern is still in construction. It's still, you know, the movements, these patterns tend to behave this way very, very accurately. So let's see if we get that move up now. After whenever this is finished, we're going to get that move up. Pound Swiss. What is this doing? Let's see. Okay, this is the big picture. We're looking for a flat there, and then we're expecting this to come down one more. That's a big picture one, that if this becomes a big flat, we're going to go down. And it looks like a big flat, but the flat has to complete itself with one more, a little piece more down, one more up, and then that could happen. So if we're looking at this and we're thinking downside, this flat is incomplete, right? Remember this one? When they broke that up, we wanted to come down. Where they're coming down, I don't know if we could get a sell set up in it in the 1 hour, let's see. You can make an argument for that. If you get a flag, go for the sell. If you get a flag somewhere here, go for the sell. If you're not in the sell, you'll have to wait for a flag somewhere here to make a flag up back and then come down. But it's not a big move. So if it just comes going, we don't want the flag. We want it to actually come and finish that move. Just come down here and break this low. And then we're looking for the trade to the upside because this would complete this bigger flat. See? It will complete this move. this big flat here, and then we should go back to break the top before we come down. I don't think this piece is completed as some kind of a wave pattern. I think it's going to stop here, go back up there, and then we look for downside. That will complete this bigger flat. We'll have a big flat pattern like that, and then we should look for the downside. So let's see. If we get a flag here, we might consider to sell. It's not a good one. We'll probably sell the pound Swiss or pound yen or pound, the pound CAD or the pound Aus. The best one I think would be pound Aus, pound New Zealand. These two have the better trade for sell. So for sell setup, it's better to go with these and wait for the rest of them to stop and turn to the upside. Aussie CAD. Okay, well, now we're finally getting the buy setup. Right now we're finally making that reversal impulse. We thought this one would be it. That didn't turn out. You're getting this one now to be the reversal impulse. Back to the top there, right? It works. Just now you just have to wait for the setup. So let's go back to the 4 hour. That's a wonderful impulse. Perfect reversal impulse. You're getting a flag. This is a perfect trade setup. Upside. You've got this and you've got that. Finally, we got it, right? This one didn't go. This one didn't go. Well, this one might go. This one might just well go. Let's see. Not sure this would go either, but if it is making some kind of a bigger running flat, let's just assume that. Let's just assume for a second that this is a bigger running flat here. And this is a smaller version of that. Let's say this is a smaller version of a running flat here. And this is a bigger running flat for one more down. For one more down, then what will happen is it's going to drop here and break the low and then reverse. But if this is it, and that's the end of the structure, either of those could be correct. If this is a bigger one, this is the end of the structure, wait for a flag here. So the sell is pretty easy. The buy is pretty easy. You just have to wait for this to do this. And if they do this, put an entry above the top. Right? If they drop, you can consider if you get a sell. Right? If they do this to drop or do this to drop, consider if you get a sell. But any correction at the top here will be a buy. So as long as they stay at the top there with that correction, we're definitely going to go for the buy on this one. And the reason is because we know there's a big move to the upside. Aussie, New Zealand, stay away from this thing. It's not going the way we expect it to go, not because of the pattern, just they're going to be more complex patterns. And we're still in that big correction. See, still in this big corrective structure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 there. We're going to make another 1, 2, 3 there. Not sure. Let's leave it alone. Aussie, Swiss. Yep. You can see there's a topic here, and all the Aussie pairs are showing us this possibility now, right? We've got the sharp one down. We want the sharp one up because all of this were consolidation down here. See that? There's a flat in the middle there, and this works. So now you're getting a reversal. You need a flag, and you need that move up to come like this. Before you come back here, and then you go. All right, pretty simple. I think we have a pattern like that here. See, very similar pattern. And this one might be even bigger. So go to the 1 hour. This one is pretty easy. This one doesn't have any second alternative to it. You have a big flat, you drop, you break the low, you go back here, and you're making a big flag here for an upside. What does that look like? Let's see. You can look into the details of it, figure out what the pattern is, and decide if it's ready to go. It's not ready to go. I don't think it's ready to go, right? You can see that. Literally, this should come down here somewhere. This is going to be a flat in here. You should be coming down here. Go back up there, make a flat here. Come back like this, and then be ready to go. So wait for a drawn out, wait for a longer drawn out trade, and then we take it. We might get a better buy somewhere in here to the upside. Right now, you have a short-term sell to break this low. Right, it's a running flat. It doesn't have. We're going to make a running flat in the middle because we broke this top. Right, we broke that top, so we'll make a running flat in the middle. But I don't think we'll go pretty deep. Right, this could be the first move up, but then you'll make a bigger correction here and then upside. Keep your eyes on it. Aussie yen. Well, they didn't break that flag, so it's no longer a flag there. And are we making a correction, one more move up for a bigger correction? Doesn't look so here. We're kind of making, that might not be all the B wave. So we'd have to consider whether this is some kind of a bigger flat in the making here. And this one makes something like this and go back up there before we come down here, right? Let's see in the 1 hour what it has. We don't have any trade set up in the 1 hour because they didn't break here, they go up. So this could be a corrective structure. We don't have enough. Not a sell setup, not a buy setup. Let's wait, stay away from this. New Zealand Swiss upside. Did we break the low? Not as yet. That's a problem. We want to break the low first. Come break this low first and then go back up. So allow this to break down first and then go for the buy setup. New Zealand CAD. We broke the low. I'm pretty sure we did. Yep, look for buy setups. You're getting a flag there. We'll look at the flag. It's probably incomplete, but you can go with it. Just use a bigger stop. You know how to do it. Put an entry order, go for this. I think this will probably consolidate more and then go. This would be a better trade for us. But if it's a small one to go, you can go for the trade. Use a bigger stop under the low with a higher risk, and then you know how to manage it. Let's put this one back. We want this upside. I'll put that as upside. New Zealand yen, more downside. You're getting a correction here. Just take this off. It's correcting more. I can take those two off. Take this off. So that was a smaller one for the upside, and we're just consolidating a lot more. I think we can look for the sell setup here, although both of them are still possible, right? Both of these options are still possible. A breakout, a total breakout, or just retesting this low and then going back up. So we'll have to get the trade somewhere here for the sell. We'll have to get a sell set up to give us enough for break, even if they're going to make a new high. But if they break through the low, that's the one we want, right? So let's see. So we're still in the uptrend, right? And it's still possible when they do this that they can make a few more up, right? We know that. So watch it. We're looking for the sell setup, but we'll have to get an advantage in the trade. We'll have to get something from the top here. We don't have a sell setup here as yet. Or the one we get is not perfect. But if they go back up a little, if this goes back up a little here, and this starts to drop, that becomes a sell, right? Because this was your flat there. You can make an argument for that as a flat. That's your final move up there. This was your flat here. Put this down a little more here. That's your flat, right? The next flat is here. You've got a top. We're looking for a sell, and if we get that sell, that would be great. Right, we'll take the sell all the way to the bottom. We can actually change this to this one. And look for a sell much higher, right? So let's see if we get the sell set up. I'll take this off. If we get that sell set up, that'd be a good trade to the downside. Either it break the low or it just comes here and go back up. Either is possible. Looks like you're getting a short-term sell setup here. The upside might not be ready as yet. So we're breaking out of this structure. And you're making a flag there. That's a short-term sell setup. Retest the low at least. And then see what happens from that point. CAD. Okay. So if you are in the CAD and you want to move your stops. Sorry, guys. If you are in the CAD and you want to move your stops somewhat, right? You have to move your stops because this might be a bigger flat or a reversal, right? We don't know. That is the top, but it could be a big flat because they went up really, really to the top there. And if they do that, then you end up in a flat pattern. So even breaking this low here is not a sell setup. We'd have to let this consolidate here quite a lot before we get a sell, or let it drop more and then make flags for sell. Because at the top there, there's a chance we're going to retest this top before we come down. This could be a big flat pattern as it stands. Swiss yen, we broke the low, expected to break the low. There's a chance you're going to get one more up. We said last week it has to go one more up like this, make a running flat here, and then we're looking for the sell. It looks like we're making an attempt to go up there. Let them go back up. It could come lower, then go back up, right? Remember, they can come a little lower, right? You've got this flat in the middle here. Right? You've got a flat in the middle there, right? This could go up now, or it could even come a little more and make a bigger flat and then go back there. We're looking for a running flat before we sell. So there is no sell setup here as yet. And I'm not sure we have a buy setup as yet, right? This might be a small buy setup. We don't want to buy, let it go up. Let it go up there, and then on the drop, we'll start to sell. Cat Swiss. We broke the top. So if you take this out, because that is finished already, and if you take this out, this is finished already. We kind of break this top, but we didn't go anywhere. We broke the top there, but we didn't go anywhere. We're coming down back. So I think we just ignore this piece because there's a lot of consolidation going on here. Even if this drop, it's not going to drop very far. It's going to come a little and then go right back up. So we leave that for now. We'll come back to this later on when we see something that makes sense, that is giving you a clear direction. Copper came down, we broke the low. So what's next? Let's see. We're still in this kind of a pattern, right? So it's not looking good. This is not the impulsive move we're looking for. They're correcting, dropping, correcting, dropping, going back up. We broke the low, they're attempting to go back up. Maybe we get a buy setup, but not a very good one. If they consolidate here much more, which means if this thing comes here and go back up and consolidate here, we'll look for a sell. That should be a sell one more down, right? So wait for that. Buy setup, you don't have a buy setup here. You don't want to buy it into this structure as yet. Stay away from this. Oh, we broke the top. So it's a flat pattern there for one more up. On the 4 hour, we broke this top. And at some point, I think we're still going to get this, because two ways to look at this. If for the YouTube viewers, you haven't been in our room, so you don't see the daily analysis. Daily analysis, we thought this was going to go down. And we thought this was going to go up, break that up, and then drop, which means we're not looking at this as a contracting flat, but it's possible that could be a contracting flat. If that is a contracting flat, we still have a lot of divergence, so we will still go down some point, and maybe even bigger drop than we think. If that is not a contracting flat, then we're expecting this to be a running flat. Come back here and then continue the upside, make a flat like that, right? So at some point here, because of all the divergence, I think we're expecting the downside. So if you're trading that thing to the upside, you have to take one pattern at a time, one trade at a time, right? And then wait for the sell setup. Sorry. So it's one trade. Every time you get a buy setup, you take the profit, because once they break the top, they turn, right? See, they broke the top, they turn. I think we can make another one up. This looks like a running flat there for me. And that might give you one more trade up, but when they break the top, you're expecting them to go back down again, right? Because we have a lot of divergence. So if you get a buy setup here, might be worth going for it. You wait for a flag, you get a flag like this would be okay. You go for the buy, breaks the top, take your profit. It's not going to go very far. If this running flat proves to be what it is. Now there's a second possibility for that running flat, which is if you look at it this way, sorry, then this is the top of the movement. So if this doesn't make that flag, you don't have the trade. If this end up consolidating like this, we will sell. So you want to have something like this, you want to have this flag, and then you buy. Because if they stayed there and they consolidate like that, that becomes a sell, this becomes the top. Both of those running flats could be correct. Both of the possibilities are running flat. So we'll have to wait and see which one proves itself. Right? Once we get a proof, same thing with this one. Very same structure, same thing, wait for a flag, buy, wait for a correction, sell. Natural gas, it's breaking out of this. So if you get a correction here, you can look for a buy setup. Not a flag, a correction. You're actually making a correction here, come back here, and then you might get a buy setup here. US 30. Okay, so it came down somewhat here. You make another one. We're still in this pattern. We haven't changed the structure. Just this piece didn't come all the way to the low. Right? They did go up. They did come down. They make a bigger flat. They're going up. We'll probably come a little higher. I think we can probably see that go a little higher, break this top, and then we're looking for a drop. Go back up. We're still in this flat pattern here, right? We're kind of in this flat pattern. So maybe a little more up here. This could probably go a little more up, and then we're looking for a sell setup. It has to break the top, right? They have to break this top, and then we're looking for a sell setup. If you're in the buy, good, move your stop, stay with the trade until you break the top. This one didn't break down. Let's see what we're looking at. It went up more. Now there was a flat in there. Take that out. This was a flat here. Flat in the pattern there. See this flat here? You wouldn't see it until you go to the 5 minutes. That pullback that made the flat, right? So if you put it like this, and then the 1 hour, we're breaking the top of this because this is a deep correction. They're breaking the top, but I don't know if that is, it's going to go much more to the upside because we're looking at this as the flat, right? Just like this one. See a contracting flat here, and this is a running flat. So upside is possible. Let's see if we get a trade. Well, if you get a flag here, you can go for the buy. If you get a flag here, just need a flag here. And if you get a flag, that's a buy setup. So if it makes a flag a buy setup, can they come back down? Yes, they can come. We do have a sharp wave here. And we don't have anything to go with it. This one is a sharp one. I don't know. Maybe we can go with this as a possibility with that one. This sharp wave from there to there. Maybe that don't work. Maybe they'll come back for the sharp wave again. So we'll have to see if we want to use that. But if you get a flag, you can take the trade for one more up and then see how far that goes. S&P 500. We have this, and this definitely looks downside because we have this three wave, but I don't think I don't think it's an equivalent of this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if this drops here, go back up, come back here, and then go. We're just making a bigger flat. So if we get a sell setup here, we'll definitely go for it. All right, if you get a sell setup, because if we broke the top already. So all you need here is a sell setup, and that's a good trade setup. Right. It's making a small flag, but it's better if they drop some more and then make the flag. You want this small one to drop and make a bigger flag here for the sell. Although the small one is not a bad trade as well. Next. Okay, we broke the top. I think they can go a little higher. I think they can go a little higher and then come back, but we broke the top. So if you get a sell setup, we'll go for it. If this goes back to the top to make a flat, there's one more trade to that level. We're making a big running flat pattern in there, right? See? We've got this sharp one still to come. So this is likely that sharp one down, and then we're going it. Can it come from this point, just breaking that up? Yes, but I think they can go a little more. So if this becomes a flat, we buy it to the top. If it becomes a flag, we sell it. If the flag break, you can sell. Right? If this remains a flag and break, we can sell it. If it goes back to the top to make a flat, we will look for one more impulse up and then the downside. Aussie 200, stay away from that. Nifty. It's going up. You have to be careful now. You're getting divergence, and it still will go some more. Tesla. I think we'll get more correction in Tesla here before we go down. We'll probably see this, kind of make some corrections more upside because this is too small. So I wouldn't be surprised if this turns out to be a bigger correction before they fall. And the same with Amazon. And Amazon is correcting here. They'll probably make a bigger correction here. Come a little more, go back up there, give you a flat in the middle here, and then drop. Right, so it's going to be in the sideways for a while. Okay, we're getting finally this one. We wanted this drop, and we're getting it here. That should give us a running flat, and then upside. So a little more drop, and then you're looking for buy setups if you trade this. Reliance. Okay, we're at the top again here. The only time we broke this low here was this little piece, and then we came up and we pulled back deep. So that means we're not making impulse to the upside, right? If this was a contracting flat, this one would take off. So I still think we're in the flat, except now we're making a big running flat in the middle, right? By breaking this low, we're making a big running flat. So this is becoming a more complex flat for downside. See? I think that is just becoming a more complex flat. This whole piece here. A more complex flat with more waves in it before we drop, and then maybe upside. So when you come to the top, you look for sell setups, which means if you're looking at this trade now, you're waiting for a sell setup here. We might be getting one right now. You might be getting a sell setup there. And let's go. PayPal. It's going back up in the correction. Come back to break this top, and then more downside. So if you get a buy setup here, it's worth taking it. And US, I don't think we trade this either, but this looks downside now. This piece here looks downside. At least one more drop. Can they go back up after that? Possible. You have this sharp one, and they can go back up and then break the low. So you get a drop, you get one trade. Take the one single trade if you want. Bitcoin. Okay. So it climbed up a little, as we said, and then they break, which is what you expected, right? So there's more downside here. There's a little more downside here, break this low, and then you could probably go back up like this. So we're just gonna stay in this big correction for a while. And if you stay in that big correction, you know where it's going, right? If you have a move down like this and you get in a big sideways correction here, it's gonna continue to go down. Very simple. So the longer they consolidate here, the more you're gonna go down, not up. Now, can this be the top of the third wave? Absolutely, right? That might be the top. This is the top, that is top, which means you're gonna get a long drawn out correction like this. Pretty long drawn out. So you will probably go back up, but not right now, which means if this drops a little more, if this makes a correction here and then drop a little more, then you'll probably start to get a bigger one up like this, and you might get one down here. And then you might eventually go. This will probably take years and years and years to happen, right? Even the up move might take years to happen. You can see that these are years of movement, right? And they're so small. This would be a bigger sideways move before we go back up. So you're thinking this might end up being the one single impulse up and a bigger one here. So we might be starting, if you're looking at this as the first impulse down and a correction that is about to happen, you'll be here for a long time. It doesn't mean they're going to go back that high. They might eventually, this might eventually even drop a little more and then start to just do this, staying on the lower level here for a long while and then coming here before they go back up. So you might never get back to that top for the next 5 to 10 years if possible, right? So all the dreams of going to 100,000 just crashed. Listen to me when it was here. I told you don't want to be the last person to exit. Now you can don't like what I say, you can don't like me. If you didn't exit, sorry, you're going to be the last person to exit. Because you don't have no idea how wave analysis works. And nothing goes up forever, nothing comes down forever. So the assumption that I'm crazy and this thing is going to go to 100,000 proves I'm not crazy and it's not going to 100,000. When it was at 18, 19 here, I was telling you guys, be careful, you don't want to exit as the last person. That's enough reason to tell you, you know what, I got to look for an exit strategy. I can't tell you to sell your Bitcoin. You're going to curse me up on YouTube, right? If it goes 10 pips up more than where I told you to sell it, you're going to curse. Now that it dropped 50% of where you should exit, well, as I say, good luck to you trading Bitcoin. Right? Now, everybody, all the gurus, all the Bitcoin millionaires and all are suddenly changing their tone in Bitcoin. It's not going to 100,000 now. I heard one person still said, I saw an analysis on YouTube. I was watching YouTube or Facebook. I can't remember where I saw the analysis where one guy said they have an algorithm that worked perfect. So tell them to every million people who invested in Bitcoin, it's going to go a little higher or it's going to go so much dollar higher. So they're expecting Bitcoin to go to $700,000. They're literally investing in Bitcoin a lot. They're having investors invested in them into Bitcoin, and they're telling investors this thing's going to go to $700,000 within the next couple of years. Good luck with that. Maybe. I have no idea. I can't tell you in the future where it's going to go. I'm looking at the patterns for right now. We work with the patterns. And this pattern is not telling me that this thing is going up. No matter how I look at it, it's not telling me upside. We're consolidating in a lower range here. And if you stay consolidating in this first impulse lower range, you're not going up anywhere. You're going to bounce up and down in here, but you're not going up. Eventually, we will break this low. That's just common sense because that happens 99% of the time. Eventually, you'll break that low. So you understand what's going up, what I was saying? Watch it to come back down at least one more like that. Well, they actually did that. They dropped more than one more than that. And if you consolidate here, you're going to continue to go downwards, not upwards. Now, if you're still stuck with Bitcoin, you'll be lucky if we make a running flat, which means you'll be lucky if we break this top here and you exit at 4,000 something, 4,004, 4,005, 4,006. And then you're going to watch it drop. So you can wait for all of this to finish. It will come back to retest this top at least. That's the minimum we know, that they will retest that top. And then it's going to drop below the low, and then it's going to go back up. When they drop below this low, that will be the end of the first impulse down. How long that will take, I have no idea. But then they're going to climb back up, and that will be a long wait. How much they're going to climb back up? Anybody's guess. It could go back up to 90%. It could go back 86%. It could go back 68, 50. Whatever fibs you like or whatever distance you like, it will go back. It can even retest it up and come back down. But it will be in a big corrective structure because this will be the first impulse down in the daily. XRP. This one came down quite a lot too. I didn't expect them to go down this much, and they're consolidating. They're not going back up. We have a clear pattern here, but we're not making an aggressive move up. We're making consolidation, which means we will consolidate and drop more. See, this will probably go back up. See this piece here? Consolidating, it'll probably go back up. They're dropping, but they'll probably go back up. See this? It's kind of dropping. You can see the drop. You can see this drop. It'll probably drop again. This will do this, drop again, but then this will go back up. So keep your eyes on this. We might even get back to this top and then drop. More like this, right? So it's staying in a big sideways consolidation. Same here. You're getting a downside, but I don't think that's a total drop to the downside. This is a sell setup right now. But if this drops here, there's a chance we're going to go back up because it's not showing sign of total downside. But this is worth selling. Linked. This is also, see, they're consolidating. They're not dropping impulsively. They're dropping slow drops. They're going to go back up. So you'll be in some kind of a flat here. You'll be in some kind of a flat in this piece, and then all these sharp waves will eventually play out. This will become the B part. Right? They'll drop, go back up there, come back here, then they'll start to do this sharp one, and then we're going to go down still if we stay here. And we're staying in that range right now. Same thing with Ethereum. You've got a very sharp move down, and you're starting to make these sharp moves here, so you're consolidating at this level. If you look at it from this point, and this point, you're just consolidating in here. So this will probably drop a little more, go back there, come back here, go back up there, come back here, and you can then eventually see the drop coming. And I think they're all in that situation. All of them in the same situation, right? Right now, this is a short-term sell. Probably like this, but it will go back up there. You're going to get 1, 2, 3. You could probably come back here, go break the top, and then come down. Right? So they're all in very short-term sells, buys, whichever direction you get them to go. See? This is a sell setup, maybe break this low and then go back up. Same with this. And same with this. Right? See, this is pretty clear. This is a good sell. This is a better sell to come down here and then go back up. LTC, same thing. You've got a sell setup here too. And ADA, same thing. You've got a sell setup here too. But they're not total drop, right? They're just short-term sells because they're in consolidations. So you can trade them both up and down depending on where you get a flag to go, and all of them are short-term trades. One impulse, take profit, get the hell out of it. If you can trade them short-term, right? That's the trade setups. So okay, guys, I think that's it for YouTube traders. Please watch the video to the end. If you do, you'll hear me say this. Please share it so somebody else can see it. Everybody, take care. I'll see my traders in the room. I'll close the room and then I'll see you guys later in the trading room. You can go there right now. I'll join you in 30 minutes. And for all the subscription traders, please trade with care. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.